Good morning, Metalheads Unit. Welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown, and today we're looking at the latest album from Neckbeard Deathcamp entitled So Much for the Tolerant Left. It's a little hard to believe that their debut album is really barely a year old, 10 months old if you want to be exact, because the amount of attention and controversy that they have garnered in that time is unreal. This band, they're not just socially or politically poignant, they are completely, totally provocative. I mean, we are talking about a super underground and super unpolished band intentionally and almost gleefully at this point poking and prodding at black metal stereotypes, black metal aesthetic, black metal tradition, the origins of black metal, and of course the black metal fan base itself, the conservative politics that surround it and consume it. We are talking about a band that is unashamedly and abhorrently left-wing, with an album by the name of White Nationalism is for Basement-Dwelling Losers, with such incredible song titles as Incel Warfare, The Left Are the Real Fascists, and the fetishization of Asian women despite a demand for a pure white race. Whoo boy! And the reactions have been mixed, to say the least. There are definitely people that are very open-minded to this sound and this concept, but it also goes without saying that a band this hyper-provocative and this hyper-political is going to piss people off, especially when it resides in a genre that is dominated primarily by ultra-white conservative men. And if there's one thing we truly know about ultra-white conservative men, it's that they are often the first to flip the fuck out when anything and anyone dares to challenge them. Like, y'all love to complain about snowflakes and society is so sensitive nowadays. Grow up, libtards. But at the same time, y'all flip out over Starbucks making a cup red, Bud Light making a can rainbow colored. Y'all flip out over Brie Larson opening her fucking mouth. Like, how dare she have the audacity to speak? How dare she? Who does she think she is? And it's not just the black metal fan base either. Black metal bands themselves are offended by the mere existence of Neckbeard Deathcamp. Take, for instance, the band Tolerant, which went out of their way to cancel an appearance at a festival simply because Neckbeard Deathcamp was going to be at that same festival. And they felt that it would somehow take away from the gravitas of the performance, because Tolerant is a super duper serious auteur black metal band. They are true artists. It's like, man, shut the fuck up. Like, come the fuck on. Side note to Tolerant, if by some wild chance you're listening to this, y'all need to learn to chill the fuck out, because if Neckbeard Deathcamp is pissing you off by simply existing, then you are clearly taking yourself way too fucking seriously. And that brings us to this new album, So Much for the Tolerant Left. And it's very clear that in that brief amount of time, Neckbeard Deathcamp have learned a lot. And it's very clear that they're feeding off of a lot of that negative energy, off of a lot of that controversy, and pushing themselves into even more extreme and hyper-political territory. The songs are more poignant. The sound is more brutal. The album as a whole is far more extreme. More songs that are scientifically engineered to provoke the alt-right and black metal fanatics, such as Conservative Cry Bullying, Cuck 2 The Phantom Menace, and Poserfoss Division. Conceptually, think of this as the black metal counterpart to a band like Anal Trump. There's a lot to love about the aesthetic of this record. I mean, me personally, I kind of automatically enjoy anything that pisses off the alt-right, black metal fanatics, and metal elitists. Like, fuck all of y'all. You deserve this. Oh no, Neckbeard Deathcamp called me a racist. Well, it's because you might be a racist. Just throwing that out there. But unfortunately, this record falls apart big time in the musical department. Aesthetically, it pulls a lot from Anal Trump, but musically, it seems to pull more from Pissgrave. And if you know me, then you'll know that I am not a fan of Pissgrave. Much like Pissgrave, it seems as though Neckbeard Deathcamp's approach to making music is to simply be as abhorrently loud and noisy and gross as possible. And again, that works from a conceptual standpoint. But it doesn't work musically because there's just no reason musically to come back to the fucking record. There aren't really any great riffs or choruses that I can hear. If they are there, then they are covered in fog and static and frankly just one of the worst sound mixes out there, period. Like, any one moment that could be deemed as something musically redeeming is completely lost in this muddled, noisy, electronic mess of a sound mix. And as a result, not only does this album repel conservative music listeners, it frankly will repel regular music listeners. Like, there's nothing really musically interesting or engaging to sink your teeth into. It is garish, brutal noise. At least something like Anal Trump plays to the strengths of grindcore, so you get these really fast, frenzied, but surprisingly clear bursts of pure metallic rage. This, by comparison, literally sounds like it was recorded on somebody's fucking cell phone. It's a shame because, unlike Pissgrave, you can tell that this band has a vision. They're not just creating extreme noise for the sake of making extreme noise. They actually have a goal. There's something they want to achieve. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no way they're going to ever fully achieve that if they continue making such poorly recorded music as this. You know, most of us that were open to this concept giggled and admired Neckbeard Deathcamp's debut album, and we've admired their antics since then. But a year later, and multiple releases later, and it seems as though Neckbeard Deathcamp don't really want to make music, they just want to provoke and prod. Which isn't inherently wrong, it's just they're capable of so much more, and it's so clear. They're on the cusp of greatness, and they just refuse to reach for it. So I'm going to give this thing a 2.5 out of 5. From a musical standpoint, I want to go way lower. I almost want to rate it in the same vein as Pissgrave. But unlike Pissgrave, I can tell these guys have a vision, and this band also benefits from kind of being a comedy metal band. In fact, on that note, you could make a far-stretched argument, but an argument nonetheless, that with all that in mind, the band is kind of a giant homage and parody of what we identify as the classic shitty black metal sound. And again, that's fine. I just like, music. I like melodies. I like riffs. I don't need garish noise. If I want garish noise, I will slide a knife against a cheese grater. I will put a buzzsaw against my garage door. But I don't. I want the hyper-political and hyper-provocative brand of extreme black metal that Neckbeard Deathcamp is offering. But I just want it to be well-written and well-produced, and I don't really think that's too much to ask for. I don't know, I hope a lot of you give this album a shot nonetheless, if only to piss off the black metal fanatics. Again, fuck y'all. Fuck y'all. But I would be shocked if anyone continued to explore this record beyond simply giggling at the premise and mocking the people who lose their shit over it. I don't know, 2.5 out of 5, it's okay. Certainly could have been a hell of a lot worse. Again, Pissgrave. Here's hoping that in the future, Neckbeard Deathcamp start making really great music instead of just angry, provocative music. I mean, ideally both, but I have to pick between the two. Great. I'd rather hear a great album. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe to get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately, and you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.